This episode is presented by Destination New South Wales. Discover experiences that will energise you and make you feel new. Head to visitnewsouthwales.com to find out more. And O'Neill, first name in the water.
And then I'm gonna
On the last episode of Rivals, the Prince of Snapper Rocks, Sheldon Simkus, picked his rival's swell window to perfection, scoring draining barrels and long winding walls at his home break. This episode finds us at world-famous Byron Bay to learn more about Indigenous powerhouse Soli Bailey. But will he score or get royally skunked? It's all part of the Rivals game plan.
With Sheldon's heater wrap, it's time to head to Byron Bay, world famous, where we'll meet former World Tour surfer Soli Bailey. On the way, we decided to explore the stunning Tweed coast, home of the World Heritage listed Wollumban caldera, one of the top 3 biodiversity spots in the country. First up, Finglehead, a rustic fishing village on the banks of the Tweed River, home to pristine beaches, occasionally fun waves, and abundant sea life. Then it's on to Brunswick Heads, with its idyllic estuaries serving as the ideal playpen for locals, plus a great pub to drop a few suds in after. Heading west, we drop in at Nimbin, home of the 1973 Age of Aquarius Festival and still one of the world's great counterculture hubs. Following the back roads, we luck into a romper of a session at the freshly minted Eltham pub, one of the premier underground venues on the eastern seaboard. And finally Byron Bay, to see what of this humble farming village has survived the onslaught of global fame.
My name is Soli Bailey, 26 years old, and I grew up down in Byron Bay.
Born and bred in #cruisy Byron Bay, Soli Bailey is a walking contradiction. The former Vulcan Pipeline Pro champion and slab specialist also developed a reputation as a competitive firebrand during his decorated junior career.
I pretty much, in a way, was born into surfing. Dad loved surfing, his whole life. Didn't even know when I first found the love for the ocean. That's how quickly I was in the ocean. I actually genuinely feel a little weird when I'm away from it. Like, I love snowboarding and I love going and checking out cities, but after a week of snowboarding, I'm just like, whoa, where's some salt water?
He's a classic to go surfing with. He's 100 miles an hour, but that makes him who he is, and when all things are firing for him, it's really cool. Like, we saw the things he did when he was on tour. Like, he was up there with some of the best, so he'll have a lot to give in this rival series.
Every section he just goes as big as possible, and I love watching his calves. He just puts as much power and pushes it as hard as he can, and then big man turns and stuff, so it's scary getting him. You know, you're gonna have a tough competitor.
A proud Gumbaynggirr man with immense competitive pedigree, a no-holds-barred attitude and model good looks, Soli's early success launched a minor bidding war among sponsors.
The industry was so savvy, they were just snapping up the kids where they could. I had Quicksilver, Rip Curl and Rusty all there.
I remember we've been in the under 12s, 14s, 16s. He was just tongue out, scrapping, just far out, head red, sweating. He's just he'd do anything to win.
We did a lot of junior events together, and yeah, it was super fiery.
Definitely a little paddle battle, yeah. Try and get the inside. Yeah, he's gnarly.
Him and his dad, Andrew, we've done comps with them since under 12s and trips to France and all that, so see the fire in Soli. He's a real relaxed guy and happy-go-lucky on land, but then you get him in the water and he's just, eyebrows go down, he's just it's good to work.
With its abundant beach breaks and world-class points, Soli's hometown Byron might be the world's premier destination for playful waves. It's also crowded as all hell, with every man, bun and his log looking for a piece of the action.
Oh, I've gone to Byron a few times. I think I did the lighthouse walk and went to the markets, and it was a bit of a zoo, so I'm not too familiar with Byron, to tell you the truth.
Trying to think where he would want to surf. I've seen great clips of him at the pass and stuff like that. I don't know whether he'd want to surf out there for his heat.
Well, he's going to be dealing with a lot of hipsters with no leg ropes, I think.
I don't know, is Soli surfing a male or a short water his?
There's really good waves up there. There's joints where you can just like score the most amazing waves and not too many people out. Maybe he's looking at those places to surf.
First destination, Tallows Beach. Possible rivals heat. I checked it yesterday, Arvo, and there was some pretty solid ramps. Come on, give us some waves. Oh. Broken Point and the Wreck are probably my two picks of good waves when they're good. But my God, are they crowded when they're good. Probably the hardest thing is when you do get a good wave, there's just like 10 dudes in your way. Like, you're just kind of like, man, like, paddle out wide. You have to sit in there.
Beyond the tourists and posers, the Rainbow region is also home to a hardcore crew of hi-fi shredders. From ASP 1991 Rookie of the Year Jeremy Biles to Wilsey, Margot, Parksy and the Lennox crew, the area has long been one of Australian surfing's great talent nurseries.
I think Parksy was probably a really big one to look up to because he was just so close in age bracket and he was achieving so much through those junior years. Also just down the road we had Stewie, Kennedy and Adam Melling, Woody. Like, there's such a tight group of people that were just like on fire around that zone. At some point in my career, I started to surf and spend time around Ruster, and he's kind of like still to this day, like a big idol of mine in the surfing industry. I think the whole East Coast, like from, Yamba to all the way up to the Goldie here, it's super special. Like, I almost look at it like I'm from Byron, but that whole area is home to me. There's so many waves condensed in such a short little coastline, and different swell directions, different little, wind directions kind of change where it could be good, and the Ks don't like it on the car, but yeah, as soon as you see it, chasing it. Definitely, I think the waves around our area shape all the surfers we are today. Anyone that has significant right points, we have something called a right-itis. We learn how to surf our forehand way better than we do our backhand to start with, just because there's so many good rights from, like Burley Heads to Yamba. It's just like, there's just a million amazing right points. So yeah, I think it was about 13 or 14 years old, and one of my team managers at the time said to Dad, hey dude, you need to get him surfing lefts. Like, he can't go left. So Dad and I actually went and spent a bunch of time in Indo to down pat my backhand, and I'd probably say that my backhand's better than my forehand these days.
After the break, we drop into Soli's pro surfing career.
It's in all of us. That craving to feel new again. To see something new that will blow our minds. Or meet someone new who will change it. New South Wales. A place to feel free. To feel alive. And most of all, to feel new again.
Despite growing up on the playful waves of Byron Bay and surrounds, Soli's developed into a slab shaman par excellence. The guy can pack it, and pack it with the absolute best in the business.
I think his dad pinned it into him early in life too, knew that was a bit of his forte and he wasn't scared, so they they made the most of it, that's for sure. I remember even being kids, you just loved big waves, and whenever the waves got bigger in competitions, whether it be under 12s or whatever, Soli was winning the thing. Like it was out the back, breaking just miles out to sea, victory at sea, and you could see this grin on Soli. He was just like, yeah.
In the barrel, you can just see he's kind of fearless and just racing through just massive tunnels and stuff. It's sick.
He reads those waves crazy. His takeoff on his backside is so smooth and so nice. He reads the waves so good. Not in the Byron Bay brochure, but he's a weapon on slabs.
He's gnarly in the tube, for sure, and he's not one to pull back.
I think you get comfortable over the course of time. I spent a lot of years in Hawaii. When I was a kid in Hawaii, I was really scared at Sunset and places at Haleiwa and even Pipe, you know, like, but you grow, you kind of start to feel comfortable, and you have a few breakthrough opportunities at some waves with not so many people, and that can change everything. You can start to feel really comfortable in these waves, and it just all depends on whether you want it or not. Because once you start wanting it, then you sort of start to get the experience in those moments. You realise that getting flogged by a gnarly wave maybe isn't as bad all the time. You know, come out of a 10-foot barrel and I'll take 30 seconds underwater for that. And we're talking like 5 and 10 seconds feels like a minute, you know? Everyone's like, I was under for a minute. It's like, no, you were under for like 5 seconds.
Soli's tubular journey reached its zenith in the mind-melting, back-breaking barrels of Hawaii's pipeline, where he won the Vulcan Pipeline Pro back in 2017.
Surfed in that with no expectation at all. I think I definitely even had like a couple of like argument discussions with my dad and Kaney, my manager, and just sort of saying, I'm not going there. Like, you know, I love surfing the wave and it's amazing, but I'm here, like this year I want to qualify, and like I just think that the guys that win that thing, I'm not those guys. So I went over there with like an attitude of, oh, well, if I lose, I'm coming straight home, get ready for the contest in Manly and Newcastle. And I think that attitude changed everything, and I just went and won the thing, which was radical.
To win at Pipe, like not many people do that in their career. So I think for him, that's a huge scalp. It's something like, it's a feather in the cap.
It's obvious after him winning Pipeline. It's like, there's no questions about it that he would go anything that comes his way.
I guess it was kind of like, for me, it was a moment where you're in this thing and you can beat anyone. It doesn't matter who they are and where you are. It's just a matter of putting your mind to it and having a little bit of luck and surfing smart.
Following his breakthrough win at Pipe, Soli went on a hot streak in Hawaii that saw him qualify for the World Tour in 2018.
Wouldn't have changed it for the world to have it that way. It was such a cool experience, and that month period of time where I was competing, it just felt like that flow state, like just things were just going right, it felt right, and it was going to happen. I come into the O'Neill house and the boys were just like unloading champagne everywhere and screaming, and it was just like this madness. Yeah, like it was a freaking cool moment for sure. I think it's definitely one of my dreams for sure to qualify for the World Tour. It was a major dream, like to get there and to qualify for that. You work so hard all those years, and it is seriously a really hard achievement to get to that point and get on that tour. There was definitely doubts, like I didn't know if I'd get there. There was years where I was just like, I don't know how much more I can do of this, like it's so hard. So yeah, to get that goal and get there was such a surreal moment. Winning events is just incredible, but going on a surf trip and scoring waves with your mates, it's just the best time ever. You just, like, it's so much fun. There's really not much of a competitiveness in the water besides maybe pushing each other and trying to get a gnarlier wave and going harder. That's what I call fun, and for me, surfing is all about fun. Like, I love competing, and that's probably the job side of it for me. But going free surfing and just chasing, pumping waves and going with a few mates, there's nothing better than that. That's what we all do it for. I've always wanted to just have a year of just like trying to just get the best waves I can and not have any restrictions to what that is besides maybe a few O'Neill or sponsor commitments. Because the competitive side of it is so demanding. Like if you don't have boards for Huntington Beach and you're off surfing Greenbush or friggin' who knows where in Mentawais and rock up at Huntington, like, and just hope that your epoxy's gonna work, you're probably tripping. Like, I know I was. Some years I'd rock up there and just have no boards because I'd just been so immersed in chasing good waves, but I wouldn't change it for anything because like chasing good waves is one of the best things to do ever. I'm willing to drive. I'm willing to put the work in. Like, I love good waves. I love getting tubed. If I'm like in vicinity of it or if I see it, I'll go. I reckon even if I wasn't a pro surfer, and I reckon I couldn't hold a job down because I just want to leave. If I saw a swell somewhere, I'd just be going, nah mate, I'm out of here. Fire me if you want. Which is not very good because I probably have no income.
After the break, we delve deep into the oldest living culture on Earth, Australia's First Nation people, of which Soli is one.
Let's face it, nobody wants to get skunked. Don't go before you know. Know before you go. With Surfline, get live surf cams, long-range forecasts, and so much more. Surfline, we'll help you find your next wave.
From Andrew Ferguson to Andrew Murphy, Asher Pacey to Otis Carey, Australia's Indigenous community has churned out plenty of world-class talent over the years. Today, it's Soli and young Lungi Slab flying the flag for their people.
My Aboriginal heritage here in Australia, I'm a Gumbaynggirr man, which is kind of like down in that Coffs Harbour area region. Growing up in Byron was a little bit kind of away from the community that like my people, because that's where my parents sort of had me, and my grandparents were up there as well. So at this stage in my life, like I've probably been so busy, and I am still probably really busy with my, you know, competitive surfing and my career, that I haven't had that time to sort of reflect and really be a part of like the Aboriginal heritage and like learning language and learning sort of a lot more culture. So yeah, as these years go on now, I'm really excited to sort of be a part of that and really just sort of immerse myself in that and learn. It's a pretty special, deeper connection. It's something that I really want to explore because it's such an amazing history there. Just be something else, and I think it's so important because we've got access to it, you know.
When Soli qualified for the World Tour, he was given the opportunity to represent his people, Australia's First Nation people, on the sleeve of his jersey. Following on from Robbie Page and Lee Winkler, Soli is the third Indigenous surfer to make surfing's World Tour, and the future is looking bright for the next generation.
Getting to represent my culture and people from Oz and just having that opportunity to run the Aboriginal flag on my shoulder was such a special moment. Qualifying in that, I didn't even think about it until I was sitting at home, and all those little things start ticking through your head, like what you get to do, and like, oh yeah, that's right, you get flags on you. You know, I was like, I'm gonna send an email and ask if they'll, you know, approve me to run my culture on my shoulder, and yeah, when they said that, like, they said yes to it, I was just so pumped. Like it meant so much to me and my family, and yeah, it was a really cool moment.
He definitely inspired me, seeing him qualify the tour, and you know, even just having the flag on his shoulder representing our culture, and like, yeah, I'm sure he inspired many other young kids and like even other Indigenous people around the world. Like, yeah, it means heaps for us, and I'm sure it means heaps for him as well.
Yeah, it's so sick, and I feel like you're starting to see that next generation now, and he obviously paved the way, and he put in the hard yards, and I feel like some of these younger kids are really being able to reap the benefits of that, which is sick. So yeah, obviously well done to Soli, and yeah, welcome to the new crew that are coming through, and yeah, I'm so stoked that they've got Soli to be looking up to.
It's good that Soli has done well and stuff and represented our culture and, you know, inspire the younger kids to, you know, just have that extra push and just be inspired to, you know, hopefully go up and share it with the next generation as well. You know, growing up around the salt water, it's just good. Like, my people have been here for as long as I can remember, many generations back, and we've always been around the water and stuck with me, and just to be representing and showing it through surfing, it's a good thing to have.
The Aboriginal surf community now, like I was just down there and surfing in the Newcastle Indigenous Classic and seeing all the little youth coming up through the ranks and some young junior surfers that are just tearing the bag out of it. I think we're in good hands, you know. Like, I think we're gonna see a really cool little surf community of Indigenous surfers on the way. We got Longy. He's sort of like performing as a pretty cool free surfer on the rise, and it'll be really cool to see his career. I think he's got a really bright future. He's very stylish surfer and knows how to get a pretty sick barrel out snapper and all the points here on the Goldie. So it's exciting to watch that, yeah, for sure.
A combination of east and south swell trains are set to light up the northern New South Wales coast late in April. The first is a long-period southerly groundswell arriving out of the Southern Ocean at peak intervals of 15 to 16 seconds. That'll combine with a mid-period easterly swell generated across the southern Coral Sea, coinciding with light offshore land breezes to lay out an ideal canvas across the exposed beaches.
After the break, Soli hits the water for his rivals heat.
Definitely a couple of wedges, lefts and rights, ramps, see what happens. It doesn't look like pumping by any means, but we'll make something of it.
Well, Rivals Season 3 continues. Fawn Blakey and Jed Smithy Smiv in the commentary booth as we join our old mate, Soli Bailey at Tallows Beach, Byron Bay, for what promises to be another explosive heat in what is a Kiwi battler grindfest.
Geez, Vaughan, it's one of the most picturesque slices of coast in the world, but wow, he's picked it on an ugly day because it looks reeking out there.
What has he done? He has really pulled the trigger on a pile of rubbish.
Yeah, I mean, so much heat comes at contest directors for failing to call events on in the best quality conditions. But geez, when the ball's in the other court, when it's left up to the pro surfers, when the lunatics are running the asylum, it's not much better, Vaughan. It's just excrement all over the walls.
Well,
it's an absolute shit fight.
I mean, he's accomplished in a small gear. He's made the CT, so we know he can grind.
I mean, for a guy who grew up surrounded by 1,001 world-class point breaks and beach breaks, I must say it is a little bizarre to see him choose to run his heat in conditions that wouldn't be out of place at a one-star QS in Florianópolis, Brazil. Yet here he is. He's not feeling it whatsoever.
Oh, he's not feeling it at all. Look at this. He's pulled the ripcord. He's out. He's done. You know, he's put his tail between his legs and he's heading back to the car park. $290 put in the meter. Not well spent, you'd have to say.
That's Byron in a nutshell. Don't come surfing here. I'll crack the shits. Tallows was crap. We got about an hour and a half. We're gonna go have a look at Broken. Just try salvage an hour or surf out of something because pretty much didn't even get a wave that I could do a turn on. Ugh. Take 2. Take 3. Take 4.
Look at that body language. He is dejected in the extreme. The poor bloke, he's trudging up to the top of the point. Jeez, it's a long walk when it's 2 foot gibberish, isn't it, Vaughan?
The only thing that could make this any worse is seeing the rest of the heats. If anyone or everyone gets good waves, this surf will feel 10 times worse.
It's a real shame, Vaughan. I mean, he's one of the great talents, one of the real surfing purists in this country, as good in waves of mortal consequence as he is on a 4 foot point break or beach break. It's a real shame that the conditions haven't provided a good canvas for Soli today.
He would rather probably be sitting on the couch eating Cheetos.
Oh, it's hard work out there, and Soli is not feeling it.
It's a tough one for old Soli, mate. I feel for him. He's going to have to sit down and watch this series, and I don't think it's going to make him feel much better. We know that Australia has been pumping, and I dare say that some of the other guys are going to get some really top quality surf.
There's just no worse feeling in surfing, is there, than surfing in a dying swell. With each wave caught, you feel the energy going out to sea, going away from you. Oh,
nice
big
little
front
ollie.
side punt. Wow. Good to end the heat on a high of a nice poppy punt.
All right, well, let's cross down now to Soli and just see how devastated he is.
We didn't get much, but we made the most of a typical, fun, summerish day in Byron. We get the odd punchy ramp and all that, typical beaches, but they didn't really produce today, unfortunately.
Well, there you have it, Smithy. A bit of a disappointing heat there for Soli Bailey.
Yeah, there's not much else to do after a poor quality session like that than go and let out a bit of angst in the Mullum drum circle, Vaughan, and you know that's exactly where he would have been straight after this session.
Well, unlikely that Soli Bailey will challenge for the Rivals title in 2022. Let's wait and see what the rest of the crew can manage.
Next week, we head to Port Macquarie to catch up with the Port Mac prodigy himself, Matty Banting, for his Rivals heat.
This episode is presented by Destination New South Wales. Discover experiences that will energise you and make you feel new. Head to visitnewsouthwales.com to find out more. And O'Neill, first name in the water.